Ok, ¿está caminando? Ok. Entonces, hemos dicho que estamos reunidos para hacer una discusión abierta de la asignación de lectura de esta selección, de una selección de una selección. Sería decir que la obra que estamos leyendo en su complejo es conocida como la Metamorfosis de Ovidio, que se da en 9 libros y que recoge toda la leyenda conocida en el tiempo, que hacían parte del patrimonio mitológico y literario de la cultura griega, que se había integrado con la cultura romana, que había también integrado otras culturas del Mediterráneo. ¿Okay? Entonces, ese trabajo de Ovidio se puede considerar como una enciclopedia, un poquito una enciclopedia de la cultura del mundo antiguo, ¿eh? Ese mundo que en ese periodo está como desapareciendo por transformarse en algo diferente, que va a ser el mundo cristiano eventualmente, que va a surgir y que todavía no sabe en qué se va a transformar, porque nosotros mismos, por ejemplo, en ese presente no sabemos en qué nos vamos a transformar. Sabemos, por ejemplo, que estamos en un periodo de transformación en que no sabemos exactamente el resultado cuál va a ser, pero precisamente no lo sabemos. Esa como enciclopedia de esa sabiduría, de ese sistema de creencia, ¿no?, que resume un poquito toda la época antigua, que el poeta Ted Hughes selecciona algunos de las leyendas de más interés y lo propone en una colección traducida al inglés con una breve introducción que queremos leer. Así que necesitamos a alguien que esté dispuesto a leer en inglés esta introducción. Alguien con una buena voz en inglés que pueda ayudarnos. Es una introducción bastante breve, pero bastante significativa. ¿Ah? Do you have it? Okay. You want to do it? He wants to do it. Sí.
Ovid was born in the year after the death of Julius Caesar and flourished in the Rome of Augustus. He completed the metamorphosis around the time of the birth of Christ, was later banished for some unknown offense against the emperor, and spent the last 10 years of his life in exile at Tomis in the Black Sea. In this length of meter, the metamorphosis resembles an epic, but the opening lines describe the very different kind of poem that Ovid set out to write, an account of how, from the beginning of the world right down to his own time, bodies had been magically changed by the power of the gods into their bodies. This
Yes,
license...
I want to skip, okay, skip to the next page. Next page. Okay. Okay. Myths and fantastic legends. Al final de la página. Myths and next page is
Myths and fantastic legends, wonder tales about the embroilment of the natural human world with the supernatural, obviously held a quite special attraction for him, as they have done for most people throughout history. But this aspect of his material, though it is usually dominant, does not altogether explain his addictive appeal for generations of imaginative artists, nor does his urbane, cavalier lightness of touch, or the swiftness and foaming economy of his narrative, or the playful philosophical breadth of his detachment, his readiness to entertain every possibility, his strange yoking of incompatible moods. All these qualities are there, with many more, and all more important, but perhaps what has gone deepest into his long succession of readers and brought him so intimately into the life of art is that he shared with Shakespeare. Above all, Ovid was interested in passion, or rather, in what a passion feels like to the same to the same one who possesses it, nor just ordinary passion either, but human passion in extremis, passion where it combusts, or levitates, or mutates into an experience of the supernatural.
Okay, let's stop for a moment, okay? See that actually Ted Hughes builds a bridge with another poet that we will study in the second part of the course, briefly, William Shakespeare, known as the most important English poet and also dramatist. So that also, Shakespeare's work also can be seen as encyclopedic in the sense that there isn't a passion, a situation, a drama that hasn't manifested, hasn't been part of his oeuvre, of his work. And so the same encyclopedic character as Shakespeare, and the same focus on this passion that is extreme, that is very intense, and that in Ovid especially generates like a fusion. Something is so intense that it fuses and becomes something else. Okay, so that we get to the title. Another important observation is from what we have read is that if you look at it externally, the Metamorphosis resembles an epic. Okay, and we want to stop for a moment. What do we mean by an epic? I will get back. I will give you the floor again. What do we mean by an epic? An epic is typically a poem that has a narrative that moves forward and celebrates a people for its origins, for its heroes, for its victories, for its overcoming adversities. Typical epic poem is the Iliad, which is about the Trojan War, the 10 years during which the Achaeans or the Greeks waged war against Troy. And obviously it ends with their victory. The famous story of the horse, that it's a wooden horse and it hides some Greek soldiers inside, so it's a deception, and that's how the war ends. The Odyssey is another epic, and it ends, it's 10 years that Ulysses took to find his way back home, but it ends with his return home and his reestablishment of his authority in his kingdom. Okay, so a narrative that moves forward and then celebrates some form of masculinity. The hero or the heroes are always victors, people who win, who establish their domination. Okay, so interestingly, Ted Hughes says it resembles an epic, but it really isn't, because there is no winner. Nobody wins. Okay, so that pattern isn't present. My theory, it resembles more the Old Testament, also called the Bible, but the Old Testament, because it's a bit like an encyclopedia. It's a book that collects legends and tales and mythologies, something that is the wisdom of a people. People refer to this text as the wisdom, where they have a question, a new problem, they don't know how to resolve it. They look at that and they say, oh, that's how it happened then, and so it's a bit of a reference text. Okay? We have, the Old Testament is the Christian Bible. We know it one way or another. We know some about it. So I choose to focus on the pagan Bible, because precisely it's this world that is disappearing. It's metamorphosing, morphing into something else. So you can continue where you left.
This is the current he divides and follows in each of his tales, the current of human passion. He adapts each myth to his theme, where details or complexities of the traditional story encumber or diffuse his theme. He simply omits them. He must have known the full myth of Venus and Adonis, in which the goddess of love and her opposite in the underworld, the goddess of death, quarrel for possession of the baby Adonis, and in which the boar has multiple identities.
Okay, you can stop there. You can stop there and move to the next paragraph. That will make it a bit shorter.
The act of metamorphosis, which is the same point, touches each of the tales, operates as a symbolic guarantee that the passion has become mythic, has achieved the undurable intensity that lifts the whole episode onto the supernatural or divine plane. Sometimes this happens because mortals tangle with gods, sometimes because mortal passion makes a breakthrough by sheer excess without divine intervention, as in the tale of Tereus and Philomela. But in every case, to a greater or lesser degree, Ovid locates and captures the particular reason of that event, where the all too human victim stumbles out into the mythic arena and is transformed. However impossible these intensities might seem to be one level on another, apparently more significant level Ovid renders them with compelling psychological truth and force. In his earlier books, preoccupied with erotic love, he had been a sophisticated entertainer. Perhaps here too, in the Metamorphoses, he set out simply to entertain, but something else joined in, something emerging from the very nature of his materials, yet belonging to that unique moment of history, the moment of the birth of Christ within the Roman Empire.
Okay. Yes. So can you remember the timing, right? Yes. Huh? No, you check the timing. I can't do that for you. You have to be responsible. Okay. I'm just asking you if you are being responsible. That's all. Okay. So yes, we want to look at this moment. Okay. We know that Christianity is a force, one of the forces that transforms the Roman Empire into something different from what it was in the beginning. Okay, so there is this huge metamorphosis that is happening, and Ovid is not aware of it. He cannot know the future, but he has a sense that metamorphosis is what's happening, that things are transforming. Remember, in the discussion at the end of the visual presentation, some people said, so what are we going to become? I wish it would be nice to know, but nobody really knows the future, and a lot of people claim that they know it, but you know, if it hasn't happened, there is